Welcome to this explainer. Long before we built cities or, well, even wrote down history, the ultimate operating system was already up and running. I'm talking about Earth. Today, we're unpacking literally the oldest and most complex network in the known universe. We're going to break down the sheer mind-boggling complexity of this whole system, looking at survival, adaptation, and that incredibly delicate balance that makes up the natural world. So, let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for exploring this massive living system. We're starting with the birth of a living planet, then moving right into Earth's vast ecosystems. From there, we'll examine the diverse animal kingdom, unpack nature's delicate balance, and finally, we'll wrap up by looking at humanity and nature's future.
All right, Section 1, Birth of a Living Planet. Let's trace our journey all the way back to the very beginning, long before any forests, oceans, or animals even existed.
4.5 billion years ago. Wow. Try to wrap your head around that for a second. It's an almost unimaginable timescale, right? Back then, Earth was nothing but a violent, hyper-hostile place, just completely covered in molten rock. Think continuous volcanic eruptions and massive asteroids constantly crashing into a young, lifeless planet. There was absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, resembling the world we know today.
But over millions of years, that fiery wasteland actually started to cool down. Water vapor condensed into what was essentially centuries of nonstop rain, filling up the very first oceans. And it was right there, within those ancient waters, that simple, microscopic organisms first appeared. Through the absolutely incredible process of photosynthesis, these tiny, invisible cells started slowly releasing oxygen into the atmosphere. And that was the game changer. It paved the way for complex plants, reptiles, birds, and eventually us mammals. Basically, nature had just booted up the most complex system in the known universe.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Earth's vast ecosystems. Now we're looking at our planet's vital organs, the massive biomes that literally breathe life into the globe today. So forests cover nearly a third of the planet's land surface, and you've probably heard them called the lungs of the Earth. But actually, beneath the surface, they function like bustling living cities, connected by something scientists call the Wood Wide Web. It's wild. Every tree is tapped into this vast, underground network of roots and fungi. They don't just stand there being trees, they actively communicate. Through this underground system, older mother trees will literally pump nutrients to struggling younger saplings to help them survive. From the highest canopy all the way down to the fungus in the soil, absolutely nothing in this ecosystem goes to waste.
But listen, while the forests might be the lungs, Earth is truly defined by its blue heart. Oceans make up a staggering 70% of the planet's surface. This right here is our primary life support system. The oceans regulate our climate, they absorb massive amounts of carbon dioxide, and they actually produce a huge chunk of the oxygen we breathe every single day. And yet, get this, more than 80% of this underwater alien world remains completely unmapped by scientists. We know more about the surface of Mars.
And inside those oceans, there's this brilliant paradox of scale. You have the blue whale, literally the largest animal ever known to exist, weighing over 150 tons and stretching more than 30 meters long. That's about the length of 3 school buses. Yet its entire existence relies on consuming some of the absolute smallest creatures in the sea, these microscopic shrimp-like animals called krill. It just goes to show you that from invisible plankton to massive giants, the whole shebang is intimately, perfectly connected.
Now, in stark contrast to those deep oceans, we have our deserts. They cover another third of our land, and they are defined by absolute extremes. I'm talking scorching daytime heat that instantly gives way to freezing nights, with barely any rainfall in between. Deserts teach us a really important lesson. Survival here depends on hyper-specialized adaptation. Whether it's a cactus figuring out how to store water for months on end, a fennec fox using its massive ears to vent body heat, or animals shifting their whole lives to nocturnal schedules just to avoid that deadly sun, life always finds a way to adapt and thrive.
Which brings us to Section 3, the diverse animal kingdom. Having explored these crazy environments of land and sea, let's dive into the incredible inhabitants themselves and look at their strategies for survival. So, scientists have identified over 1 million different species, and nature equips every single one of them with a hyper-specialized tool set. Take the cheetah, it evolved for pure explosive speed. The owl, it completely mastered the art of silent flight so it can hunt in the pitch dark. And then you have the octopus, which relies on high-level intelligence and this crazy adaptive camouflage just to outsmart its predators. Literally every animal out there has its own specialized strategy. whether it's the cross-ocean communication of whales or the incredibly organized, complex societies of wolf packs.
Okay, brace yourselves for this next one, because this number is honestly really hard to wrap your head around. Scientists estimate there are more than 10 quintillion of our next subject alive right now at this very moment. I'm talking about insects. 10 quintillion. That's a 10 with 18 zeros behind it. It is an utterly staggering figure, and it makes them by far the most successful group of animals on Earth.
And sure, they might be tiny, but they are the invisible backbone of our entire world. Think about it. Bees and butterflies are fundamentally responsible for plant reproduction and pollinating the very crops we eat. Beetles are out there actively recycling organic waste, and ants are literally engineering the soil to make it healthier. Without this 10 quintillion strong workforce running things behind the scenes, our entire food chain would be completely disrupted. The whole global ecosystem would just collapse.
All right, moving into Section 4, Nature's Delicate Balance. It's time to uncover the underlying rules, like the seasons and predator dynamics, that govern this whole massive system.
Driven by something as simple as Earth's physical tilt, this procedural cycle of seasons is basically the rhythmic heartbeat of the planet. Spring springs to life with rapid blooming and renewal. Summer quickly follows, bringing warmth and an absolute explosion of abundant food. But then, the pace shifts. Autumn forces animals into this urgent race to gather resources and prepare, right before winter finally introduces a long period of harsh dormancy and biting cold. This seasonal cycle dictates the migration, the breeding, and the very survival of species across nearly every ecosystem on the map.
And just like the changing seasons, the harsh dynamic between predator and prey is actually one of nature's oldest and honestly most necessary partnerships. Now, I know it might seem cruel at first glance, but predators are essentially nature's quality control department. By keeping herbivore populations in check and removing the sick or weak, the wider ecosystem gets to thrive. Because without them, herbivore populations just explode. Vegetation gets overgrazed in a flash, and the entire landscape changes for the worse. In nature, balance is literally everything.
Section 5, Humanity and Nature's Future. This brings us to the final chapter of our explainer today. We humans are the ultimate disruptors of this intricate web, but at the same time, we're also its potential protectors.
We are obviously a part of nature, but let's be real, no species has altered the planet more dramatically than we have. We play a really complex dual role here. On the one hand, our drive to build sprawling cities, develop new tech, and extract resources has definitely led to serious habitat destruction, deforestation, and pollution. But on the flip side, humanity is uniquely capable of stepping up to fix it. We're actively establishing protected habitats, restoring wetlands, tracking endangered species, and innovating amazing green technologies to shrink our footprint. We literally hold the power to both harm and restore these landscapes.
And the reality of our situation is pretty straightforward. The natural world, it isn't just pretty scenery for a weekend hike. It is the absolute fundamental foundation of our life support system. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, literally everything ultimately comes from this system. Now, life itself is incredibly resilient. I mean, it survived ice ages, it survived massive asteroid impacts, but for our generation, protecting nature isn't just about saving the trees. It directly means protecting our own existence.
So, as we close out this explainer, I really want to leave you with a single, powerful question to chew on. Nature is a masterpiece of complexity, right? Every single species plays a vital role, and the story of Earth is still actively being written as we speak. We know nature is going to continue in some form. It always does. But looking at our shared home, what role will humanity choose to play in its future? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for exploring with me today, and hey, keep questioning the incredible world around you.